So many unhelpful mindsets and ideas in our food environment that keep us going in a worse and worse direction with our eating. Dr. Ginny Trierweiler here of Slender for Good. We talk about how to get slender for good with truly healthy eating. And part of this is changing our mindsets, embracing truly healthy mindsets, changing our thinking to support our success with healthy eating. So let's explore this popular idea. There's no good or bad foods. Is this suggesting that all food options are equally beneficial? Because that is clearly not true. There's tons of research showing if you eat a lot of processed foods, you're likely to have this variety of health issues, metabolic issues, et cetera, that are really serious. And if you eat a lot of nutritious foods, you're likely to avoid a lot of those troubles. It's not really a true statement to say there's no good or bad food. So in what way might it be beneficial? I've seen this idea be very reassuring to people who have issues with body image and who have eating disorders. So I do think the idea is addressing something meaningful and important. If you've beaten yourself up over indulging in certain foods and drinks, you may really appreciate this idea of no good or bad foods. Some of us have had really painful experiences with trying to not eat too much indulgent food and drink. I was setting rules for myself all the time. Okay, I'm just going to do that indulgent stuff, eat and drink those things on the weekends. I'm just going to do that on Saturday nights, one day a week. That's not going to hurt me. I'm just going to do less of it. I kept setting all these rules for myself. I remember so many days I would start the day saying, I feel like I ate and drank too much last night. I don't feel good. It makes me wake up late and feel wrung out. And tonight I'm just going to eat healthy and not have any wine. I would give myself those rules, and by the end of the day, I would change my mind. Yes, I am going to have all the things. I'll start that tomorrow, but today I really want the things. I really need the things. So I kept giving myself rules and failing at them. Well, you get tempted to say, no more rules. I'm just going to eat or drink whatever I think is reasonable. I'm just going to try to moderate this and quit giving myself rules. I would end up having this like beat myself up experience of what is wrong with me? Why can't I just follow my own intention to say no to alcohol or sweets for one day? Why can't I just have one glass of wine or one cookie and stop at a reasonable point? It was miserable feeling like I didn't have control over this. And it was miserable beating myself up. And it honestly just made me want to eat and drink the stuff more. So I wanted to escape that whole trap, right? When I followed the popular idea, it's okay, just don't overdo it. I just continued to feel like I'm failing at this. I'm not moderating well. My results are not good. This isn't going well. My health and my life were suffering with the whole situation. So I agree with the idea that it is not helpful to beat ourselves up about giving into indulgent food and drink, especially if that substance, if that food or drink has addictive properties. So if I can't stop at having a little, if I can't resist, these are indications maybe that that is an addictive substance, that I'm having an addictive reaction to it. I'm a psychologist, so I thought, you know what? When it's an addictive substance like cigarettes or heroin or cocaine, it's not a great idea to try to moderate it. It doesn't work well. When you have a little, you want more. That's how addictive things work. So I started realizing, okay, alcohol is addictive. We know that. We tell ourselves it's no big deal as long as you don't become an alcoholic, but it's addictive. And we know this about sugar too. So I realized I'm trying to have a little of something that provokes an addiction response, and that is a failed approach. That is not going to work well. But society tells me every day, just moderate those things, just don't do too much. But having a little of something that triggers an addictive response where you want more is just a setup for failure, right? So the highly processed, non-nutritious food-like substances are being designed to be very addictive for us, and they're being marketed to be the most appealing stuff out there. Like all the marketing is just have a little, it's a treat. And then that's what we say to ourselves, and that's what we say to other people. It's just a treat, just have a little. But there's really good evidence now. I've seen so many studies that not only is the highly processed stuff truly harmful to our cells and our systems, but it's also triggering an addiction response. So yeah, once I realized that, I thought, oh, I'm a psychologist. I know this. Trying to moderate something that's addictive is not going to be a successful strategy. It's just going to keep you wanting more. Okay, I'm going to say no, but it's going to be completely with willpower. And then I can't wait till I can say yes again. It keeps us in this overly excited, overly stressful state. I decided I didn't want that with my food and drink anymore. Craving for highly processed, non-nutritious food-like substances now represent 73% of our food. It's most of what's out there. If we lived in an environment where that stuff was only available a little bit once in a while at a certain time of year, which is the way humans lived thousands of years ago, we'd be okay. But now it's most of our food, and we are not okay, right? Our weight is indicating we're not okay. Our diabetes rates and our heart disease rates and dementia rates and cancer rates are indicating this is not okay. This is not working. We're not eating and drinking these things in moderation. We're confused about what moderation means, right? We're having more and more and more. It could really help us stay in this situation if we tell ourselves it's okay, though. There's no good or bad foods. I just don't think it's true. These ideas, everything in moderation and no good or bad foods, are ideas that can support continuing on this really terrible path. So I'd love to hear your experience with this. Have you struggled with trying to moderate, trying to just have a little of certain foods and drinks? And when it doesn't go very well, do you then beat yourself up? So share in the comments, if you would, what has been your experience with this? Because I personally found it miserable and stressful. So let's quit beating ourselves up about this. It's not fair. Like, that is what the human brain does in response to addictive substances, is it drives us to want more. It's not fair to beat ourselves up, and it's not helpful. Like, there's good reasons why beating ourselves up will make it even harder to advance with our healthy eating. So we want to get out of that habit. Instead, let's give ourselves lots of grace and compassion for having so much desire for those things and so much difficulty moderating them. I had to work at this. I got to give myself grace and compassion because I'm not going to make progress with it until I do. Okay, how do I do that? Well, how do you do it with other people? I've worked at it for a while, right? And I gave myself lots of hugs and said, you're okay. This is what the human brain does. You can take your brain back from this situation, but it's going to be an effort. So give yourself lots of grace in the process. It's definitely not helpful to judge ourselves as weak or judge ourselves as failures if we're struggling with addictive food and drink. That's one extreme. The other extreme may not be helpful either. The extreme of saying, oh, well, it doesn't matter. It's no big deal. All food is equal. No food is good or bad. That's not true. Some food is going to harm us and some food is going to help us. So rather than fall at either extreme, rather than saying no food is good or bad, let's embrace a more helpful understanding. I'm going to share a mantra with you that I've found really helpful, that my Splendor for Good clients tell me all the time is very helpful to them. But if you find this content helpful, click like, subscribe, hit the bell so that you'll get notified for upcoming content. So here's the mantra I came up with that I find really helpful, and I hear from my clients every week. That idea is very helpful to me. Everything I eat or drink either helps or harms my body. There are harmful foods. The research is really clear on this. So telling ourselves there's no harmful foods is not helpful. In fact, most of the food in our environment now is harmful because of the processing. Our bodies are not made to deal with those processed foods. They don't know what to do with it. They set about trying to protect us, driving up our fat, driving up our hunger, driving up our cortisol, often driving up our blood pressure and our blood sugar, etc. They're harming our body. Our body is finding ways to cope, and it's making us sick. On the other hand, there's a bunch of foods that are really beneficial for us. And one of the troubles is that in this environment, we've come to highly value and view as treats and as special things the least nutritious stuff, the most toxic, least nutritious stuff. And we've come to undervalue the truly highly nutritious foods. Now, we can change this. We can change what we value, but it is going to take intention. And ideas like there's no good or bad food is just going to keep us in the status quo situation as I see it. I found that idea really helped me shift to eating abundant, highly nutritious foods, which our body needs. And it changed my life. Like, I took an extended break from sugar and alcohol to clear the toxic stuff out of my system, to let everything that it was affecting have time to heal. My gut, my organs, my cells, my hormones, my brain, and my metabolism transformed. So I went from barely being able to walk, from so much inflammation in my system, to being able to walk and hike again. I went from pre-diabetes to normal blood sugar levels again. I resolved hot flashes and insomnia, dropped the excess 60 pounds of stored fat. It completely transformed my life to do this. My body said, thank you. We wondered if you noticed that we need real food. And it started to get to be so rewarding to just eat nutritious things and to let go of the idea. But those things they're treats. They're important. I don't want to lose them, right? So if this is so transformative, and I've now seen hundreds and hundreds of people transform their health in so many ways by eating abundant, highly nutritious foods. So if that's what really makes a difference, why are so many doctors and dietitians telling us, well, don't give up the craving for highly processed, non-nutritious food-like substances? They call them treats. Why are they saying there's no foods we have to completely cut out, when so many of them are proven to be so harmful and addictive? Why are our doctors and dietitians telling us just don't have too much, just moderate these things? Well, it's partly because they don't understand the psychology. They have grown up and lived their whole lives in this deranged food environment that has more and more and more of that stuff. They are overvaluing the chip niffles, the processed, non-nutritious stuff, and they've struggled to eat and drink those in moderation. They don't want us to experience that struggle and potentially develop body image issues or eating disorders or just give up. They don't know that we can change our thoughts and feelings about what's good to eat. They don't know we can change these habits because they don't know how to help us change these thoughts and feelings. So this is my advantage as a psychologist, right? I know people can change their thoughts and feelings. I knew we could change how we think and feel about what we eat. We can lose our excessive attachment to the indulgent, highly processed, non-nutritious things. We make it happen every day in Slander for Good, and it's life-changing. So consider taking this in. Everything I eat or drink either helps or harms my body. And I'm the only one who can change this. I'm the only one who feeds myself, the only one who can decide whether we're eating or drinking things that help the body or eating or drinking things that harm the body. So can you imagine that this idea could be more helpful to you, that it could start to help you change the way you think and feel about this stuff? Can you imagine starting to more thoroughly enjoy the nutritious foods, coming to crave the good foods? Can you imagine escaping the trap of excessive attachment and excitement and desire for non-nutritious stuff, and then trying to avoid it, and then having some and getting extra excitement again, and then trying to resist it again? Can you imagine escaping that trap? It's the best. So I encourage you to avoid the extremes. Avoid beating yourself up over being so drawn to those things, finding them irresistible, and having trouble stopping eating them. And avoid the extreme of asserting that all food is equal and nothing is bad. It's not true. I encourage you to focus on eating abundant, highly nutritious foods. Find more ways to really enjoy fruits and vegetables. Don't break them down. That makes them processed. Don't juice them. Don't dehydrate them. Eat them in their whole form where our body can make use out of the nutrition. Let them crowd out the craving for highly processed, non-nutritious food-like substances. Start to catch yourself calling those things treats and go, wait a minute, are they treats though if they're hurting me? So eat more and more of the nutritious foods and let yourself notice how happy it makes your body, how happy it makes your brain, how much calm comes into your brain. And when you have a slip into eating the tempting, indulgent stuff, or what I call a bloop, oh, I didn't mean to do that, give yourself grace and rededicate yourself to, that's okay. Tomorrow, later tonight, I'm going to eat so much nutritious foods. I just have to plan a little better. It doesn't happen by accident. And then when you eat more of the nutritious foods, notice how your body thanks you. All right, if you found this helpful, Click subscribe so you can keep getting content like this. And I'd love to see your comments about what do you think about this idea of no good or bad foods? What do you think about the idea of everything I eat or drink either helps my body or harms my body? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Take care.